What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brandon's Face, the podcast where we have to record everything twice because Brandon's computer is on the verge of breaking down. We just finished recording our singles, but we had some technical difficulties, and we're hoping to recover that file. But until we do, we're going to give you our album reviews for this week. So let's get into it. You ready, buddy?
I'm ready, I guess.
All right, man. I love the enthusiasm.
No, I'm actually very excited to hear what you have to say about Arcade Fire.
Okay, man. Well, let's get straight into it. Arcade Fire's The Suburbs, an album you've wanted my opinion on for quite some time. So I have finally listened to the album in full, and now I can acknowledge how genre defining it is. And me not being a huge fan of the genre it defines didn't really prevent me from enjoying this experience at all, because this album is a masterclass in turn of the decade indie rock, and it pulls from the decade before it, and it lays the foundation for the one ahead. This is just one of those albums where everything works, and you were right in hyping it up to me, so thank you for that, buddy.
Hey.
Yeah, dude, man, the music's interesting, the vocals are sharp, and the way it all comes together is beautiful. And I've only had maybe the time to listen to this album completely 5 or 6 times, so I'm still wrapping my head around a lot of it. But I wanted to talk to you about my main standouts first. So you ready to get into those?
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, man. Let's talk about the album opener, The Suburbs, first. What an album opener it is. Jesus Christ. I've had this saying for a while, and it's all of the all-time great albums have all-time great opening tracks, and I think they nailed it with this one. It's the classic, we're going to throw a little bit of everything at you to start approach, and it works. Like, it's a beautiful song. The way the keys fall in line with the guitar and the way his voice just floats over it all is beautiful. It really is. And Ready to Start, the next song right after it, I was really surprised by the undercurrent of grunge in this song, especially after only hearing We before this, because there was none of that on it. And I wasn't really expecting it. But it's still an indie rock song, and I like the approach that they took with this one. The lyrics on that track are really good too. Lyrics on this whole album are really good too. I've really enjoyed reading along while listening to it. Another standout of mine, We Used to Wait. I love the way this song just comes together as it goes and how the keys never stop moving the song forward. I can't describe what it is about this one, but it's one of those goosebump songs for me. I just love the way it sounds and the way it came out. And the closer, I guess not technically the closer, but Sprawl 2. Man, this one fucking took me by surprise, Brandon. And her voice is just incredible, and the way this song kind of comes together reminds me of the Postal Service a little bit. And I'm not too familiar with the rest of Arcade Fire's discography, so maybe you can tell me if she's a guest vocalist or if she's a part of the band.
She's a part of the band.
Oh, okay. Well, she killed this shit. Does she do vocals on other songs as well?
Yeah, there's even one on We where she does I think there's one song where it's just her on vocals, although I could be wrong.
I'll have to revisit it.
Yeah, this is a really good one.
Yeah, dude, she killed it. I thought that might be my favorite song on it. But in terms of the album overall, man, you were right, and I will concede this is a masterpiece, and it's on the same level as all of the other greatest albums of all time. There's literally nothing bad I can say about it. And even though it took me over 10 years to finally listen to it, I can still appreciate it for like the shooting star that it is. This was just the right band making the right album at the right time. It's an obvious 10, and my standouts were all of the songs I just talked about.
My
I know
man.
you love this one, and it's a 10. So I just want to know, is this like how you expected me to respond to hearing this?
This is exactly how I wanted you to respond, but I didn't think that you were going to give it. I didn't think that you were going to give it the trademark John masterpiece 10 out of 10. And I'm so happy that you were able to articulate exactly why you gave it that, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and I'm so glad you finally see why I am such a big fan of this band.
Yeah, dude, it's a great album, and it's indie rock, but I love that it's not confined to just indie rock. Like there's a little bit of everything on this album, and all of it works, which is what I love about it the most, man. It's great.
Oh man, I'm so happy for it. I'm so happy for you that you got to hear it. I'm happy that you understood it. And yeah, man, this album's kind of a mind fuck. If you said you read through some of the lyrics, and
Yeah.
it is a, for me, I don't know if all right, so I'm gonna. I know that you already know that that this is a 10 for me.
Yes, yes.
But I'm gonna go through. I don't know if you know this, but I have a nice notebook that sits next to my vinyl collection, and every once in a while I will take albums that are very special to me, and I'll break out my fountain pen collection, and I will write down thoughts as I read the lyrics to some of my favorite albums. I've done this for a number of albums, but I have done it with the Suburbs. And the date that I wrote this was February 21st, 2021.
Okay.
And yeah, man, this album's really personal for me. I did not see or understand the hype behind Arcade Fire until we saw their headlining set at Coachella. Me and my now wife, we weren't married then. Saw them, and it was a life-changing moment for me. It was just fucking awesome, dude. And so this album specifically, because it was 2011 when they headlined, I think this album came out. It was on this tour that we saw them. I don't know, man. This album's a mind fuck for me. There's a lot of really cool hyperbole. There's a lot of cool conceptual kind of metaphors, and it's crazy. It's I'm not going to go through my entire review because it is on it's a large notebook, and it's like 3.5 pages. 1, 2, 3, yeah, almost 4 pages. But I really like the metaphors that they do. The Suburbs, I think. The song "The Suburbs" really kind of set the stage, like you said, for the rest of the album, both sonically and lyrically. And it's almost as if they're kind of putting you in this suburban war zone where it's like, we're going to talk about a lot of things that are going to make you uncomfortable. And yeah, man, it's just it's beautiful. So it's almost as if the Suburbs is supposed to feel like some sort of anagram for the ghetto. The suburban war will almost certainly never happen, in my opinion, at least not actual war like we see. The way he's just kind of begging to have a child given to him from what feels like God is fucking heartbreaking. The line "in my dreams we're still screaming" could indicate that this suburban war will be one fought with no guns. Ready to Start is so fucking nostalgic, man. For me personally, it's the most memorable song when my wife and I saw them live.
It's a great song.
The long they bow down to him anyways because it's better than being alone is just fucking crazy to me. And it's got to refer to kind of succumbing to ideologies. These people don't know anything else other than what they've been born into, man. The song is how close the theories actually come to really to reality, and how it can affect people deeply if it takes over too much of their personality. I don't know, man. The transitions on this album are fucking beautiful. Rococo is a interesting album. I guess that's a play on. I guess Rococo is a style of art that was popular in, I believe it was the 15th century France, where it was just a bunch of rich people buying art just to buy art to say that
Yep.
they bought art, and I guess they're just kind of making fun of themselves, and you've got to love that shit, right? I don't know, man. There's just so many good lines in this album. They build it up just to burn it back down, and the subsequent line, "the wind is blowing the ashes around," is just fucking, I don't know, man. It's fucking awesome. They seem wild, but they are so tame. It feels like Arcade Fire predicted how people would be 10 years into the fucking future. They want to own you, but they don't know what game they're playing. I don't know, man. It's just beautiful, beautiful music. Yeah, man. There's just a lot to take in on this album, and I hope that you listen to it again in the future. It is one of my favorite albums of all time, both for its lyrical content and sonically, because if you don't listen to the lyrics, which I kind of hope you went through one listen without caring about the lyrics to just kind of hear the sonic landscape that they
Hmm.
create. And I know you're a sucker for smooth transitions, so I knew that you would like the number of those that we have on this album. It's just, to me, it's just an amazing album. It is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, man. It is, and it's an objective one. And it's a beautiful album. Like you said, I love albums like that you can just go back to every day and find a new lyric to take something from. And those are much rarer in today's music. So even though this is 10 years old and we're revisiting it, it's still a masterpiece, man. That's really the only word to describe it.
Yeah, bro, I agree.
And they make it sound so effortless. That's the thing about these all-time great albums. It sounds like it all had to have been so easy, like it all just came together, you know?
They had so much to say, and they just said it perfectly at the right time in the right place, like you said, and it just came off. It was like mixed perfectly. Like everything about this is awesome.
Yep. And you can say you were there during the live rollout of it.
Man, it was a crazy show, dude. During Ready to Start, which they closed with, they they released. I want to say it was like close to 1,000 of these blow up balls that were like, I want to say twice the size, maybe three times the size of a beach ball, with
Hmm.
LED bulbs in them. And I think we might still have it. I don't know. We may have thrown it away because we grabbed one on the way out, and it was just epic.
That's
That's
fucking
really the
awesome.
only way to describe it.
Well, I thank you for showing me this. I'm sure it won't be the last time we're talking about Arcade Fire, but this was great, man.
Cool, man. I'm so glad.
All right. You ready to talk about Radiohead's OK Computer?
I am so ready to talk about OK Go, or I'm sorry, OK Computer.
Okay, go. That's a completely different conversation, buddy. Oh man, those music videos though. Okay. Okay, go.
Got him. All right, so I know that this album is one of the most talked about albums of all time. I have also only ever listened to it once before this, and I didn't pay attention to it. I just kind of skipped through to see what all the hype was about, and I didn't see any hype, probably because I skipped through it.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago. Um, so I sat down with the lyrics, poured myself a cup of coffee, put the nice headphones on, and I fucking did it. I did a song by song on this one. You ready for this?
Yeah, so let's go song by song.
All right, Airbag is fucking cool. The drums really shine here. I sat down with the lyrics and listened to this album, and I listened to it a number of times. Um, Paranoid Android is fucking awesome, dude. The bass line leading up to that
Yeah.
bridge, and then the riff that like kind of explodes afterwards, the changing pitches and the little burst it does prior to the is that a drop?
I
Is
love the
pretty cool.
programming in that one too.
Yeah, man, it's really neat. The ending lyrics of "God loves his children" is pretty cheeky, and this is one insecure king. I at this point, I made a sub note for myself. Oh, this is going to be cynical. Um,
Yes, very.
so, Subterranean Homesick Alien is a very interesting story song. By now, I can kind of tell this whole kind of story album is going to be sarcastic. It's cynical all the way through. This song is about living in a shitty town and being the same as everyone else while thinking he's different, right? I think I'm starting to understand where York is coming from.
Yes.
On the next song here,
Exit music.
Exit Music, I realized that this motherfucker can enunciate his words. It's just really weird to hear. We have another story song that's actually sad. It's angry and petty without being any of those things musically, which is very fucking neat. I like this song, I like this song instrumentally. In the past, I've never really had the patience for Radiohead, right? But my tastes have now matured since I started on my
Sure.
hate campaign for Radiohead, and I can obviously appreciate this now. Musically, there's something about restraint that has to be that has been interesting to me lately, and I felt a lot of that here. What I mean by that is, if you're good at your instrument, you don't have to fucking rage on it in order to prove that you're good at it. You can be good at it while restraining yourself. And I think that that's what they do really well here on Exit Music.
Well said.
For a song about his lover's father and how he wished that he choked on his rules and presumably about abuse, it's a very restrained song. It's an interesting choice and not one I would have made, though. While this is my least favorite song instrumentally thus far, it's really got me thinking and disassociating, which I think is probably the entire point of Radiohead. Am I kind of hitting the nail here?
No, I don't think you're far off.
So Let Down has a very interesting lyrical content. It's got some of those weird electronics, which work very well for this song, but I don't think I agree with York on this song. I think what he's saying is that people are watching what he thinks, and they're all handicapped bugs that won't amount to anything due to the system, and I put a little TM next to the system. But I think this is way overly cynical. I think he's people watching in the wrong places, man. Maybe it's
the 90s were cynical.
Maybe was in 97.
Yes.
We'll get to that. Hey, I've heard Karma Police like 1,000 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure this isn't your first time hearing some of these songs.
I've always loved the piano in this song. It's very Billy Joel.
Beautiful.
I totally understand why everyone likes Radiohead now. Every single word is dripping with irony and cynicism, and while basically screaming social commentary about things that are very niche, yet totally relatable into your fucking face.
Yep.
He lost himself and probably arrested too many people, and now he needs himself to be arrested by the Karma Police. I get it. I'm unsure if I like that concept, but I get it. This next song here, who pours boiling water on ants? Is that a thing that they do in the United Kingdom?
I hope so.
Who ties cats to sticks? What the fuck does it mean, John? All right. So the opening riff on Electioneering is just great. This song has more personality than I've ever heard from Radiohead and York. He must be exhausted by the time the second line starts. Mentioning the IMF is kind of right up my alley for political commentary in a song, and I really respect that. I dig this one. It's got the 70s kind of rock and roll vibe that's kind of messy. It's got some punk elements like that bass line. It's got York at his best so far, in my opinion, with the range he's clearly capable of and doesn't fucking use. More songs that sound like this, please. Climbing Up the Walls has the exact vocal style from Tom York that I can't fucking do it, man. I would literally not know any of these lyrics without reading them. Is that the point? Is that the idea? I don't know.
The whole vocals are an instrument style that they implore in some of their songs.
He's
but I can
not
see how you're
waking
not
the cadaver. All right. There's on this song there's some great anxiety commentary, which I think was cool. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to personify that. I really do like the riffs and the kind of ultra distortion towards the end of this song, combined with the strings, is just super fucking cool.
Yeah.
All right, No Surprises is fucking sad, bro.
This the first time you've heard it?
Yes.
Oh boy, yeah, that's an experience.
My man's wants to take down the government with this kind of attitude. Not gonna work. If he keeps sucking down that carbon monoxide.
But look, musically, that is an incredible song.
The juxtaposition of the almost playful instruments with the absolutely just crushingly depressing lyrics is very interesting, and it's not lost on me.
That's
this is one of the most interesting songs I think I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So, Lucky is a love song, right? That's what I got.
Sure.
I wrote down a quote from the album.
If you want it to be.
Okay. The head of state has called for me by name, but I don't have time for him today. This girl is so lucky. Is the sweetest line in this album. I'm choosing to take this line literally and not the cynical hyperbole he probably wanted us to take it in, because it is beautiful. The instrumentals at the end of Lucky are really great. Everything just kind of comes together. Tourist is another anxiety commentary, which kind of positions himself as a tourist in his own life. It's hauntingly beautiful, fantastic crescendo at the end, and really solid way to end the album. You like album openers. I like album closers. I think the closers make the album and kind of bring it all together. If a closer can make me want to listen to it again, it's doing his job. Sure. So obviously, John, this album is fucking great. It's art, and I definitely appreciate the work, even if I don't agree with a lot of it. Maybe I wasn't sad enough the first time I listened to it. I'm really wondering about the mental state of the collective world in 1997. But this album has really actually been able to make me articulate what it is about Radiohead that's bugged me. Not like the Smiles album last week, but more so that I believe literally every musician in this band is underutilized. I know it's indie, folk, electronic, prog, rock, or whatever, but I feel like every musician, yes, even York, as he really does show off impressive range, is great, but there's just too much restraint. I talked about restraint earlier, and it's a beautiful thing when used well, but I don't think that there needs to be that much. I think it's too much restraint. It's cool,
That
but I wish they would just let loose a little bit more like that.
But that's
Than they
what
did.
makes moments like the end of Paranoid Androids so special when they do just let it all fucking go and you hear that unhinged sound. I get wanting more of that. I think that's a natural feeling after hearing that and then it slows back down. You're like, wait a minute, I was having fun at that tempo.
It's like he's
But
trying to make me sad, John.
yeah,
Look, I really did enjoy this album for the art, but I can out cynical this motherfucker while being positive. I gave this a 10 out of 10. My favorite is Electioneering. This is clearly a 10. It's obviously a 10 out of 10
yeah,
album. Even if I
obviously.
don't agree with it or whatever, but it's obviously a perfect album. It's
I
talked
like that
about until
Electioneering's your favorite.
yeah, it is. That's is that a hot take? I have
No,
read
it's not a hot take. It's for sure an album cut.
for sure. Yeah, I haven't read any reviews on this. Everything about Radiohead I've skipped over for my entire fucking life, and so much so that when I heard Karma Police come on, I was like, "Oh shit, is this Radiohead?" Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's Radiohead.
well, I'm so glad that we challenged ourselves, each other rather, on this one because I think we needed a little bit of a challenge, and I'm just glad about it, man. It was good.
Yeah, I'm glad we both came to an understanding. And although we still probably prefer the bands that we both added, we both walked away having learned something new. Like I said, when you text me, you're like, I've been taking a lot of notes on this. I was like, I'm just happy you heard it and you can actually like have an opinion, whether it's positive or negative. So I appreciate you taking the time, buddy.
I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm so glad that you made me listen to it. So thanks, man.
Good. I'm glad as well. It's a great album, and like Arcade Fire with me, I hope you revisit it from time to time.
I'm sure
I
I
will
will.
say one small criticism of my takeaway is of your review is that you're saying things that he does not do very often when you are not familiar enough with their discography to know what they do very often.
I meant specifically on this album.
Okay, okay, fair enough.
I
Because I was gonna
wasn't I wasn't trying to extrapolate all of their musical discography into this album review because I don't know enough about it. But if this is the seminal piece of art album that makes them the greatest band in the world, and to a lot of people, I don't think that, but I think that they're very good, and I think that they are just too restrained. If I didn't enjoy the art so much, it would have been an 8 or a 9, but I think I enjoyed the art of it, and I had a lot of fun reviewing it, and I did have a lot of fun listening to it. And I'm not a Radiohead super fan, but I'm not an active hater anymore. Tell your wife.
I will. I will be sure to tell her that. I think there is no winner or loser in terms of what we were doing here. I think what we were
No.
both doing is all you're trying to do when you show somebody something that you think is special. You're never trying to get them to have the same exact view of it as you. You're trying to make it debatable because that's all that really matters. If I say Black Thought is the best rapper of all time, like a week after Kendrick Lamar dropped, he has a name to where even though you just heard one of the best rappers still near their prime doing their thing, you're like, yeah, that's debatable. Like you could argue that. But if you're listening to Kendrick Lamar and Black Thought, and I'm like, Little Dicky's probably the best rapper of all time, or Jack Harlow, you're gonna be like, that's not even like debatable. Like you can't prove that point. If your point is they're good, then that's one thing. But I think the The fact that we can both walk away saying these are debatably two of the greatest albums ever made in all of music that we've heard in terms of like the high art that they achieved is just all you can really hope for in an argument or conversation like that.
Yeah, man. I think both of us being able to appreciate the art is something that I've loved about you as a human being, and why one of the main reasons why we do this podcast together. And I don't do it myself, and you don't do it yourself. Is I think because we just enjoy talking about music and being able to appreciate the art for what it is, and I think that's what gives us our eclectic tastes, because I don't think Radiohead's the best band in the world, and the person that does probably thinks that death metal isn't real music, and I would argue that it is. You know what I'm saying?
You can just say my name, Brandon. Um, your art is the best art of all the art. All right, let's move on to
That's
some
from
more
something,
art.
isn't it?
That's from The Office.
Okay, thank you.
That's a Roy to Pam at the art show. Oh man. All right, let's move on, buddy, because I'm excited to talk about this new one from Flume called Palaces. I'm gonna go first and just say that the glitch god has returned, and this is probably his most vivid and punchy collection of songs I think we've gotten to date. His sound hasn't changed as much as it's evolved. I think it's still very texture heavy and raw, but I would argue that this is maybe his most palatable album for casual fans of his so far. His music reminds me of those old Disney Magic iBooks that you would get from like the Scholastic Book Fair back in the days. Do you remember those where you'd like hold it up to your nose and it's a collage of images and you slowly move it back and the image comes together? Do you
Core
remember
memory
these?
unlocked.
Okay, perfect. That's what his music is. And I think like it always drove me crazy because I could never understand it. And those books used to drive me crazy because I used to buy them because I'm like Disney collage, cool book, but I could not see the fucking images until one day I just could. Like it clicked, I figured out like what to do, and like I started to get enjoyment from those books. And like I said, yeah, that's just how his music has been for me. It used to be more challenging than fun, but now it's really clear to me even when it's chaotic. And getting into this album, Highest Building, I think is a perfect opener for this album. I think Say Nothing, Escape, I Can't Tell, and Hollow feel like the core of the album to me. All four of those tracks feel like just top tier Flume and should fit nicely alongside some of the other best tracks in his discography. Sirens and Palaces definitely sound a lot better to me within the full context of the album. They do a great job ending the record on a strong note, in my opinion. And some of my other favorite moments on the album were the tracks that didn't really stand out to me at first, like Get You, Love Light, and Jasper's song. I wasn't really expecting those. The only song I really didn't click with was OnlyFans, and I don't think it's a bad song. I just don't think it really fit into the vocal tone of this album. And I guess overall, I don't think he topped Skin with this, but I think he came pretty close to matching it. So overall, it lived up to my expectations for it. I'm going to give it a solid 8, and Say Nothing is probably the song that I will remember this album for. How did you feel about it?
All right. So I kind of feel the same way about this album as I do the Smiles album from last week. It is experimental to be experimental, but at least most of this experimentation makes sense. There's some parts of the beats that drop that to me don't make much sense in a musical way, but I appreciate they're all kind of like a build up into making sense in the way that the drum beat catches up to the synths and VSTs he uses, and I think that's pretty cool. I tried to articulate what it is that he's doing, and I hope I just did a good job there, because what happens is, especially on what's that first track, Highest Building, where like the beat, where like the drum drops, but the synths got to catch up, and then the drums kind of slow, and then the synths catch up, and then it all just kind of makes sense. It's very interesting. I'm definitely going to be revisiting this one throughout the year, because it's more intriguing to me than Musical. The only track I actively disliked was OnlyFans. Just didn't
I
work for my
figured.
ears.
Same.
I do like that Flume is incredibly unique, and he really puts himself out there and maintains this kind of experimental aura that does translate into ethereal electronic music. You can't compare this music to literally anybody else's music. Flume is Flume.
Yep.
I don't have high praise for this album, but I can't say I dislike really any of it except for OnlyFans, and I don't even really like dislike that song. So maybe I just need some more time with it. Off the bat, because it is so jarring, I gave it a 6. My standout is, it's obviously Say Nothing. But you're right. I can't tell Jasper's song, Hollow. Those are very good songs. I listened to it a number of times, and I think it's one of those that I think I'm just going to need more time with it.
No, I mean, I think, yes, you should spend some more time with it, but I also think that your score is completely valid. I think that if you were to give Skin an 8 at best and thought that was his best, this feels like he's not forging any new ground with this album. You're only going
No.
to like this if you're a big fan of Flume, and you're not a big fan of Flume.
I liked Skin, but I wasn't head over heels with it, and it didn't stay in my rotation for a long time. So
Yeah. And you didn't enjoy his live set at Coachella too much, and that was a lot of these songs.
that. Wait, I'm sorry. That was Flume. That wasn't Ross from Friends.
Shut up. That was some lip sync vocals, is what it was. I thought that performance was great. I thought it was awesome, but I get what you didn't like about it.
Fair.
All right, man, let's move on to this new one from Harry Styles called Harry's House. One I'm sure you've been dying to review since its announcement, Brandon. Oh boy. So I'm going to start this off with a hot take. This album is good.
That's the hottest take of this episode.
Can I also start this off with a question before I get into my notes?
Yes.
How hungry do you think he was making this album?
What do you mean hungry?
How many fucking food bars
Oh
are there
God,
on this
yeah.
thing, dude? He is talking about a type of food or drink every other line of this
My
album.
man, when you got Watermelon Sugar as your greatest hit that's played in every Walgreens across the fucking country, you're going to talk about food too.
Yeah, you're right. He really doubled down on that formula with this.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Okay. I'm gonna say this up front. This is a boring, inoffensive mainstream pop album. But for what it is, it's not bad. I think his vocals are great. I think the melodies are really catchy, and I think his range was pretty impressive on some songs. On the production side of things, everything sounds like the highest quality as you would expect of a pop artist of this tier. And the instrumentation is a lot more diverse than I was expecting personally. I don't revisit every song on this album every time I've listened to it this week, but I have found myself returning to it more than I thought. And I think songs like Music for a Sushi Restaurant and Late Night Talking, like those two to open the album is a really, really strong opener. Both songs are extremely catchy, well produced, well written. And then two others I really like, Cinema and Daydreaming, I thought were top tier pop songs. Really enjoyed those. I added this because of the spectacle of it, but I walked away a little bit more impressed by the execution of it. And it'll be interesting to see in a few years if this is his peak, like looking back after headlining Coachella and dropping what's sure to be his third straight number one multi-platinum album. It's easy to imagine him starting to fade in some way, but I think he's going to be one of the biggest names in pop for the entire rest of the decade. This is full of hits that should do nothing but further his career. And I think, like I said, I will admit that it's boring, and I will admit that his celebrity has become more interesting than his music for the most part, which is going to become a problem. But as somebody that's never enjoyed an album or maybe even a song of his, I was impressed by this, man. I gave it a 6, and I would probably say Late Night Talking was my favorite. What did you think?
So I will forever maintain that Watermelon Sugar is a fucking banger. The song's
Okay.
great, man. I've definitely heard it
It's a
way too
jam.
many times, but it's a banger. Look, I have to say I don't really have much to compare this album to. I've never listened to an album of his full front to back.
Neither
I,
have I.
I did listen to this a number of times, but it's definitely pop music. And while I can enjoy it, I don't think I'll be revisiting it. Quite honestly, I can't see the why this has so many streams, and I just don't get it, man. I mean, the album cuts have double digit million streams. To me, that's just fucking wild.
He's top 5 in the world, man.
I know, but like, why, man? Look,
I just told you why. Because his celebrity is becoming bigger than his artist.
true. So, like I said, this music is not bad. The instrumentals are fine. The lyrics are fine. Even though I can't really get over the fact that he stole my boy Jason Sudeikis' wife, and that's presumably who he's talking about when he says "I can't get you off my mind" and shit. The structure of the album is fine. It's all just fine. I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that this guy is so popular. I guess maybe I'm missing something.
No,
I
you're not.
I
This
gave it a
is
5.
That's fine. That's fair. That's fair. What was your standout if you had one?
I really liked music for a sushi restaurant.
Yeah, that's an incredible jam. And like you're a big fan of brass, there's a lot of really good horn sections in that song too. It's a really high art opening. Like I could see Michael Jackson with an instrumental like that to kick an album off too. It's very well produced. But I agree, man. I think why we're a little confused on why it's so successful is because this is supposed to be one of the top pop stars at his peak, and even though there's good music on the album, it's just a little boring. Like it's not taking any chances at all. And you would think for somebody that's gone through like the stuff he has, like he's gotten a lot of flack from like Fox News and those types for the outfits that he wears, and they all like say he needs to be a man and he's not a role model and all this
Why?
shit. And he's always had all these like fun responses to that shit, but like I don't know, his music is just kind of lighthearted, inoffensive pop, and I try and judge music. I guess I don't do it every time, but I try and judge an album for what it is, not what I want it to be. And I think for what this is, it's okay.
It's fine.
Did your wife enjoy it?
Uh, I only listened to like half of it with her once.
You're like, I'm not going to put it on because if she does, then I'm going to have to hear it all the time.
That's not
I
why,
get
but maybe subconsciously,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe like I repressed that thought or something. No, no, no.
Conniving Brandon. No. All right, man. Let's move on to this last album we got this week. You threw on here Digital Carbs. Is this a new album or an old one? I didn't look.
It's a new album. Well,
Okay.
kind of new. Last month.
New album. Okay, never mind. I knew this was new. Never mind. New album. Are we taking it slowly? Talk to me about this. Why'd you throw it on?
So I put this on my playlist, which is albums to throw on during a slow week, because I listened to it when it dropped and I was pretty impressed with it and kind of kept it in the back of my head, and then I kind of just kept going back to it, man, because it's I forget where I found it, like most of the weird fucking music that I throw on here, but when I hear passion, it just kind of perks my ears up, you know? This has a lot of passion. This is a band from Munich, and I'm kind of excited to hear what you thought about it. I think it's really groovy. I think there's some emotional moments. I think it's grungy. I think it's got this kind of garage, psych rock, little bit indie kind of vibe. I actually think it's really hard for bands that make this type of music to kind of break through, since it's not the 90s anymore and everybody only listens to Flume. But I figured we would talk about it because I really just wanted to hear what you thought about it. It perked my ears up because I could hear passion in it. I guess they kind of remind me a little bit of Porcupine Tree in a kind of a cool way.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that.
I guess it is self-released, self-mixed, self-mastered, and that's fucking impressive. And if that doesn't deserve a conversation, I don't know what does.
Okay, but did you give it a score?
I did. I gave it a 7. My standout is Daily Invocation.
Okay, for sure. So I feel like you've thrown every combination of subgenre and foreign country on here at some point, Brandon. But experimental indie rock from Munich might be a new one for me. I thought this band was good, and I thought that this was a very impressive debut album. I can imagine songs like Maniac, Daily Invocation, and Just So You Know on mainstream rock radio stations and not sounding out of place at all. The album itself is paced really well, has a really good flow to it. You know that I'm not like into this style super like very much, so I don't know how much I'll be revisiting it, but I enjoyed my time with it this week and I gave it a 6 out of 10, and Daily Invocation was also my standout.
It's a great song.
Yeah, that one's great. Fucking loved it.
Yeah, man.
Anything else on this?
No, I think I'm good. I clicked on that cute little follow button on Spotify, so if they ever release any more music, we will be hearing it. I did like it enough to pre-order their album, so we'll see when it gets here from Munich, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you're always supportive of bands. I love that about you, Brandon. You'll have to let me know how that packaging is when it arrives.
If I like the music and I can't see them live, I gotta give them something, right? These
I
people
feel
put
you, man.
these people put their time, their money, their energy, their passion, their everything in some cases into their art. And God, if they don't deserve it, man. Harry Styles doesn't deserve my money, but Digital Carbs might.
You want to have a quick conversation before we go about art and artistry right now?
Yeah.
So, there's been a few artists online talking about this lately, and it's very fucking disturbing. Apparently, Halsey has a new song that she wants to release, and her label told her that they will not release it until she creates a viral TikTok moment.
Oh my God.
And so other artists started coming out. Florence and the Machine, the singer, posted a TikTok saying their label wants her to post a lo-fi TikTok. And she's
Oh.
like, God help me. Like, what the fuck? Like, and it's just, I think it was a joke, but like Charlie XCX posted one with like super frizzy hair. And she's like, when your label asks you to post like an eighth TikTok of the day. And it's like, what are they doing to these fucking artists right now? Like, it's
That's
insane.
I'm kind of floored. I will say I saw a meme earlier that says I don't watch any TikToks. I watch Instagram reels of TikToks that everybody else saw 2 weeks ago, like a man. Um, which I don't even do that. I get them 4 weeks late because I'm
That's
only on
hilarious.
Reddit or
Yeah.
what somebody sends me. But yeah, man, that's absolutely abhorrent.
But you also want to know why that As It Was song by Harry Styles has 500 million plays already?
Probably because of the TikTok.
It's a TikTok hit. Yes,
I gotta say,
exactly.
I've never once clicked on a TikTok link. They have
Um,
none of my data.
my wife likes the TikToks, and the stuff she watches is actually pretty funny, but a lot of it, if you just scroll endlessly through what is like the general population is consuming, it's a lot of trash, honestly. And I don't think our generation was much better. We spent our time looking at a bunch of trash too, you know.
Oh no, absolutely, man. I mean that definitely happened. I mean, I
E-Bombs World, Faces of Death. Like, we were fucked up kids for sure.
who gave 14-year-olds in 2006 unfettered access to the internet? Because
It was only
I've
because
I've
we
seen
were there when the internet
I've
started.
seen one too many beheading videos, and it's a thing.
They're very easy to see, turns out. All right, man. Before we get out of here, let's take a look at what we got coming up this week. I think it's going to be another light week, probably a light month, actually, unless we get some surprise announcements. Freddie Gibbs, get on your ass. Come on. All right. So this week we're going to have new music from Easy Life, Rez. Calvin Harris is going to be releasing the first single off Funk Wave Volume 2 on Friday. And we're going to have
It's
a new
officially
album
summer.
Yes, exactly. White Boy Summer Part 2. Liam Gallagher's new album, Come On You Know, drops this Friday as well. I'm sure
Think he
he
covers
thinks it's
Wonderwall?
already. I think that he's going to tell you it's the greatest album he's ever recorded. That's probably what he'll say. I hope he doesn't fucking cover Wonderwall. Good God, man. I don't. I'm we covered the one single I think he released from it, and it was very underwhelming. I'm not expecting much from that one. I don't know about you.
Yeah, me neither. But I like a lot of Oasis's stuff, so maybe I'll
Me
like this
too.
one.
He's just kind of a pretentious dick, but I don't really like hold that against his music. But based on the single, we'll see.
We'll see.
Um, Well, we're sorry we couldn't get you guys the singles this week. Hopefully, you enjoyed us talking about the albums. We will be coming back next week. And then, hopefully, soon, now that summer's starting, we'll be able to start some of our bonus podcasts. So keep an eye out for those.
Yes, sir.
Like, follow, subscribe. Uh, Send Brandon every Discogs link for the Maria's vinyl. All that fun stuff. All right, buddy. You got anything else?
No, I'm good. Have a great night, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.